It is 5:47 a.m. on a Thursday in March. The screens in your home office have been running since 4:12. There are 6 of them. You bought the 6th one 3 weeks ago because 5 weren't enough. Your fund's largest position, a $214 million stake in a mid-cap semiconductor manufacturer, dropped 7.3% in after-hours trading on news you did not see coming. Not because you weren't watching. You were watching, it just didn't matter. You are 26 years old. You manage $900 million that does not belong to you. The distinction between those two facts is the entire shape of your life now. Level 1. The room where the numbers are real. 18 months ago, you were the youngest analyst at a mid-size quant fund in Midtown. Your title was associate, your salary was $237,000 before bonus. You sat in a row of 6 identical monitors in a room with no windows and wrote models that other people used. You were not managing anything. You were feeding a machine that someone else operated. You were good at it. You were very good at it. The people above you noticed this in the way that institutions notice things, without warmth, without ceremony, and entirely for their own reasons. The offer came on a Wednesday in September, a conversation in a glass-walled room with 2 partners you had spoken to the combined 4 times. They were launching a new vehicle, concentrated long-short. They needed someone to run the book. The assets under management at launch would be $340 million with a path to $900 billion within 14 months pending performance. They were offering you the seat. You were 24. The number that registered first was not the $340 million, it was the 14 months. You understood without them saying it that the 14 months was the clause that made the offer conditional on a result that was not yet possible to guarantee. You said yes. The word came out clean and certain, the way words do when the decision has already been made somewhere below the level of thought. There is a specific sensation that accompanies the moment you first see $900 million attributed to your name in a system. It does not feel large, it feels illegible. The brain has no category for it. It files it next to the sensation of looking over the edge of a tall building. Technically comprehensible, operationally useless. The first rule. The number is not real until it moves in the wrong direction. Then it is the most real thing you have ever seen. The shift. The assets hit $900 million in 11 months, not 14, and the moment they do, the 14-month clause dissolves and a new unspoken clause replaces it, one that no document contains and no one will explain to you. Level 2. The architecture of the day. Your alarm is set for 5:58 a.m. You are usually awake by 4:41 a.m. You've checked your phone twice before the alarm fires. There is a second phone on the nightstand that receives messages from 3 numbers not saved under any names. You check that one first. By 5:15, you are at your desk. By 5:30, you have reviewed overnight Asian markets, the European Open, and any macro data released in the last 6 hours. By 7, you have spoken on the phone with your prime broker. By 8, you have held your morning risk call with your analyst team. 4 people, 2 of whom are older than you, none of whom address that fact directly. By 9:30, the market has opened and the day has started in earnest, and every decision you make for the next 6.5 hours will either prove or disprove something about you that you cannot name, but can feel in the particular quality of the silence when a trade goes wrong. The markets close at 4 p.m. The day does not close at 4 p.m. There are investor communications, position reviews, risk attribution, a call with an LP who has $47 million in your fund, and a question he phrases as a question but is actually a warning. You eat at your desk. You eat whatever was delivered. You stopped noticing what it tastes like sometime in the 3rd month. You have a girlfriend. She's a 3rd-year law associate. She understands demanding hours in the abstract. There is a difference between understanding demanding hours in the abstract and sharing an apartment with someone who checks a second phone at 4:41 a.m. without getting out of bed. You have not discussed this difference. You have noticed the shape of it in other ways, in the way she no longer asks what you are thinking when you are quiet, and in the way you are almost always quiet. The second rule, you do not manage time at this level. You ration it, and the first thing you stop rationing it towards is yourself. The shift. By month 7, the 4:58 a.m. alarm becomes irrelevant because you have stopped needing it. This is not discipline, this is something closer to rewiring. The body has accepted the schedule as the default state of existing. You notice this without alarm. That absence of alarm is itself a signal you do not read. Level 3, the weight of other people's certainty. Your largest LP is a university endowment, $312 million. The endowment's chief investment officer is a 58-year-old woman named Patricia, who has been allocating institutional capital since before you were born. She is not warm, she is rigorous. She asks questions in a specific sequence designed to reveal whether you know the answer or whether you have constructed the appearance of knowing the answer. You have learned the difference between those two things partly because of her. Patricia does not doubt you. This is what makes her terrifying. She evaluated the strategy, she evaluated the team, she evaluated the models, she allocated. She is not watching you to catch you failing. She is watching you because $312 million that belong to 23,000 students and their futures now moves according to your decisions. Her confidence in you is not personal, it's structural. She believes in the process that produced you more than she believes in you, and you understand in the part of your chest that tightens during her quarterly calls that the distinction matters. Your other LPs are a sovereign wealth allocation of $187 million, a family office holding $94 million, and 11 smaller institutions rounding out the book. Each of them has a human being on the other side who decided that you, specifically you, at 24, at 25, now at 26, were the correct place to put capital that cannot be replaced if it disappears. You do not think about this constantly. You have learned not to think about this constantly. You have learned this the way a surgeon learns not to think about the weight of the scalpel mid-incision. The learning is not peace, it is suppression with a purpose. There is a number you track that does not appear on any official document. It is the dollar amount you would personally owe if you could owe it, the gap between what is currently under your management and what you believe on your worst days you actually understand. You have never told anyone this number. You barely look at it directly. You are aware of it the way you are aware of peripheral vision, always present, never centered. The third rule. At a certain point, confidence stops being something you feel. It becomes something you perform. The performance, if sustained long enough, becomes indistinguishable from the real thing, to everyone except you. The shift. On one Thursday in November, in the middle of a presentation to 3 prospective LPs representing a combined $220 million in potential capital, you hear yourself explain a position with complete authority and realize in the same breath that you believe every word of it. The gap between the performance and the internal state has closed. You cannot tell if this is growth or something else. Level 4. The first time the model is wrong. It is a Tuesday in April. The position is a $78 million long and a regional logistics company. The thesis is clean. The model is clean. The sector tailwinds are documented, peer-reviewed, and consensus supported. The stock drops 19.4% in a single session on an earnings miss that contradicts every forward-looking indicator you built the thesis around. The loss, marked to market at close, is $16.3 million. You don't panic. This is not courage. This is the result of having rehearsed this scenario in your head 200 times before it happened. You execute the pre-planned response. You assess whether the thesis is broken or the data was a one-quarter aberration. You determine within 4 hours that the thesis is broken. You begin to exit the position over 3 days to avoid moving the market against yourself. By Friday afternoon, the realized loss is $16.3 million. You write the LP communication yourself. Every word of it. The communication does not apologize, it analyzes. It describes the error in the model with the same clinical precision you would describe a position working in your favor. You send it at 4 p.m. on a Friday. Patricia's response is 3 sentences. The third sentence is, "We've all had Aprils. The question is what you do in May." You read that sentence 4 times. Something moves in your chest that is not relief and not gratitude and does not have a clean name. You file it under nothing. You close the laptop, you go for a run for the first time in 11 weeks. You do not think about the position during the run. This is not because you have processed it. It is because your body has simply refused to process anything further for the next 43 minutes. The fourth rule. The model is never wrong about the data it contains. It is always wrong about the data it doesn't know it's missing. There is no fix for this. There is only being faster than the error. The shift. After the April drawdown, something in the way you build positions changes. The change is not visible in the outputs. It is visible only in the time you spend stress testing the downside before you enter. The upside starts to matter less to you. The survival of the position starts to matter more. This is not pessimism. This is the beginning of what the older managers call experience. It cost $16.3 million to get here. Level 5. The narrowing. It is a Saturday in June. You are at a dinner with 6 people, 4 of whom you have known since college. 2 of them are asking you questions about the market because they think you want to talk about the market. You do not want to talk about the market, but you also realize somewhere in the third glass of wine that you do not know what else there is. The market is not your job at this dinner. The market is the only vocabulary you currently have for the world. The friends who are not in finance have lives that have grown sideways: careers, partners, hobbies, minor obsessions, opinions on things that have nothing to do with capital allocation. You used to have these too. You have them now only in vestigial form. There are opinions you remember holding that you can no longer access with any conviction. There are interests that have gone quiet, not by decision but by slow displacement. The displacement was so gradual that there was never a moment to mourn it. There is only this dinner, and the awareness that the conversation is happening across a distance you cannot fully close, and the wine and the walk home after, and the second phone vibrating in your pocket at 10:14 p.m. with a message that requires a response before Tokyo opens. You respond to the message on the walk home. Your girlfriend is asleep when you get back. You are at your desk at 11 p.m. This is not unusual. That it is not unusual is the thing worth sitting with. The 5th rule. The narrowing is not a sacrifice, it is a substitution. You trade the width of a life for the depth of a single pursuit. The trade feels voluntary until it doesn't. The shift. You have a conversation with one of your analysts, 29 years old, 2 years ahead of where you were when you started, and he asks you if you ever think about doing something else. You tell him you haven't thought about it recently. This is true. The truth of it does not feel like freedom. It feels like a door you didn't notice closing. Level 6. The infrastructure of isolation. You move into a new apartment in September. It is 2,100 square feet and a building with a doorman, a gym, and concierge services. The rent is $11,400 per month. You furnish it in 3 hours using a service that sends a designer and a stylist and a logistics coordinator. You are not present for the furniture delivery. You are on a call with a prime brokerage risk desk in London. You come home to an apartment that looks like a life you did not assemble. Your compensation for the year, assuming the fund hits its high watermark, will be approximately $2.1 million. This is the management fee allocation plus the performance fee percentage your contract specifies. The number doesn't land the way you thought it would when you imagined it at 22. The apartment doesn't land the way you thought it would. None of it lands with the weight you assigned to it when it existed only in the future. It lands and then sits there, correctly proportioned and completely neutral, like furniture chosen by someone who understood your preferences but had never met you. There are things you can buy now that have no impact on how Tuesday feels at 5:47 a.m. You have learned this not as a philosophical observation but as an empirical one. The car did not change Tuesday at 5:47 a.m. The apartment did not change Tuesday at 5:47 a.m. The watch did not change Tuesday at 5:47 a.m. Tuesday at 5:47 a.m. is a fixed variable. Everything else adjusts around it. The people who knew you before the fund see you in increments now. There are conversations you used to have with people you love that you simply don't have anymore. You notice this the way you notice a sound that has stopped, not with acute pain, with a dull recognition that the frequency has gotten quiet, and that you have not yet decided whether to try to restore it or whether it has been quiet long enough that restoring it would require more than you currently have to give. The 6th rule. The money changes what you can access. It does not change what you can feel. The space between those two facts is where the work actually lives. The shift. You attend a conference in December. Institutional allocators, fund managers, a keynote from someone who runs $14 billion. You are the youngest person in the room by 11 years. 3 people approach you during the networking reception. They are all between 45 and 60. They all speak to you with a specific quality of attention that is not warmth and not admiration, but something closer to recognition. This is the first time you understand that you are no longer a story people are watching. You are a data point they are monitoring. The distinction changes the way you stand in the room. Level 7. The version of you that runs this. It is the Thursday in March again, 5:47 a.m. The semiconductor position is down 7.3% in after hours. You are running the scenario analysis for the 3rd time. Not because the third run will produce different numbers, because the third run is the thing your hands know how to do when your rest of you is somewhere between clarity and the absence of clarity. You are 26. The fund is at $900 million. The returns for the year are 18.7% net of fees, which places you in the 94th percentile among comparable vehicles. These are the numbers that exist in documents. The number that exists only in your chest, in the space behind your sternum, is a different kind of figure entirely. It is the accumulated weight of every decision made with incomplete information. Every night that ended at 1 a.m. and started at 4:41. Every conversation shortened, every position exited at a loss, every model rebuilt from failure, every performance delivered to a room of people who needed you to be exactly as certain as you sounded. You will exit the semiconductor position at the open, not all of it, 60%, enough to reduce the exposure, preserve optionality, and signal to your risk desk that you are managing the drawdown rather than hoping through it. The remaining 40% you will hold for 6 trading sessions pending confirmation that the miss was structural. This decision took you 11 minutes on Thursday in March at 5:47 a.m. in March. The 11 minutes feel instantaneous. The 11 minutes contain 2 years of rewiring. The seventh rule: you do not run the fund runs through you. The distinction is the thing nobody explains before you take the seat. There is a new analyst who starts on a Monday in April. He is 23. He graduated from a program that produces exactly the kind of people this industry is looking for. His models are clean, his conviction is clean. His understanding of what he is walking into is incomplete in ways he cannot yet see, because the incompleteness is not in his preparation. The incompleteness is in the nature of the preparation itself. You pass him in the hallway on his first morning. He asks you how long it took to feel comfortable managing at this scale. You look at him for a moment. The question is sincere. It deserves a sincere answer. You tell him the word comfortable is approximate. He nods. He takes this as encouragement. You let him. He will be at his desk by 5:30 a.m. tomorrow. He will check his phone before his alarm. He will begin to accumulate the things that no model prepares you for: the weight of other people's capital, the quality of silence after a bad position, the particular texture of a conversation you used to have that you simply don't have anymore. He will accumulate these things slowly enough that there will never be a single moment when the accumulation becomes visible. And then one morning, years from now, he will be at his desk at 5:47 a.m. running the same scenario for the third time, and the version of himself that walked into this building on a Monday in April will be unrecognizable. The machine doesn't need you to understand it. It just needs you to be early.